Don't know how you saw it, but that finish just didn't feel right to me. Have you ever watched a race where everything seems completely under control, like the result has already been earned and all that's left is the final few laps? Then suddenly, in one instant, everything turns upside down. That was exactly this kind of race. And honestly, this goes beyond one event. It's beginning to look like a bigger trend, something that could shape the entire season. Because when races are decided by late chaos instead of long-run performance, it brings up a question every NASCAR fan asks. Are we watching the best driver win, or are we watching circumstances steal the spotlight? Stay with me because what happened in those final moments and what followed afterward has fans arguing, drivers talking, and the garage buzzing. It may even change how people look at these dramatic finishes moving forward. And real quick, if you love NASCAR like I do, hit that like button and subscribe. NASCAR Nation Report is only getting stronger. We're chasing 100 subscribers, and this channel is built for real fans who live and breathe this sport every week. Okay, now let's break down what really happened because this race had layers, and it was far more than just another late restart. At Kansas Speedway, Tyler Reddick captured a massive victory in the Advent Health 400, but it came through pressure, drama, and perfect timing. For most of the race, it looked like Denny Hamlin had everything under control. He had speed, track position, rhythm, every ingredient needed to seal the win. Then the race changed in an instant. A late spin from Cody Ware near the back of the pack triggered a caution flag. Just like that, Hamlin's comfortable lead disappeared, and the race was thrown into NASCAR overtime. What looked like a certain win suddenly became a high-pressure showdown. When the green flag dropped again, Reddick showed exactly why elite drivers are dangerous in those moments. Calm, aggressive, and precise. No wasted moves, no hesitation. He handled the restart, managed the pressure, and struck when it mattered most on the final lap. That wasn't luck, that was pure execution. And this victory means more than one trophy. It sends a message to the rest of the field in the 2026 season. Week after week, Reddick is proving he isn't just a contender, he's becoming one of the main threats in the championship battle. But the real story didn't end at the checkered flag. After the race, Hamlin's frustration was impossible to miss. He spoke openly about the caution and the way NASCAR handled the closing laps. He echoed what many fans were already thinking. When a driver dominates most of the day and loses because of a late incident caused by a car far behind the leaders, it's hard to accept. Hamlin questioned the consistency of when cautions are called, how they're judged, and how often they completely reshape race outcomes. And this isn't the first time. Earlier in April 2026, Hamlin had already criticized NASCAR's overtime format after another late race disappointment. So now this no longer feels like a one-time complaint. It feels like a growing issue, and one that may only get louder as the season continues. This is starting to feel like a recurring trend. Hamlin isn't only reacting to one finish, he's pointing to a much larger issue about how late cautions bunch the field together and create new variables that can completely flip a race. And that's where the situation gets interesting because Hamlin isn't just another driver, he's also co-owner of 23XI Racing, the very team that just celebrated the win with Tyler Reddick. Think about that for a second. On one side, he's a Joe Gibbs racing driver who likely feels a race slipped away after controlling it for hours. On the other side, his own organization is in victory lane. To his credit, Hamlin handled that balance honestly. He praised Reddick, gave him full respect, and said he did exactly what a top-tier driver should do, take advantage of the opportunity when it appeared. There was no bitterness toward Reddick and no negativity toward the team. But Hamlin also made one thing clear. When the helmet goes on, he's a racer first, and losing a race that way hits personally. That's something fans can understand immediately. Because this goes beyond Hamlin, this is really about how races are being decided. NASCAR's overtime format exists to create dramatic finishes, and there's no doubt it succeeds. It delivers tension, urgency, and unforgettable final laps. But when late cautions begin to feel inconsistent or controversial, attention quickly shifts to the system itself. Are we rewarding the driver who performed best across the entire race? Or are we creating a scenario where everything resets no matter what was built over 300 plus miles? That's the argument growing louder right now. And as the 2026 season moves forward, this conversation is not disappearing, especially if veterans like Hamlin continue speaking openly about it. Meanwhile, Tyler Reddick keeps doing what contenders do, producing results. Whether fans like the circumstances or not, the record books only show one thing: a win. And in NASCAR, wins become incredibly valuable once playoff momentum and championship seeding enter the picture. So the question now becomes simple: is this just part of modern racing, or will NASCAR eventually need to reevaluate how these late race moments are handled? Because if this pattern continues, it won't only determine race winners, it could decide a championship. That's why Kansas matters far beyond one Sunday afternoon. If you watch that finish, there's a real debate to be had. Did NASCAR make the correct call, or does Hamlin have a legitimate case? If I'm being honest, as someone who follows every lap, Hamlin absolutely has a point. Not because he lost, but because situations like this are happening too often to dismiss. The caution involving Cody Ware can be defended within the rulebook. NASCAR had the authority to throw it. That part is understandable. But the deeper issue isn't the yellow flag itself, it's everything that follows once the field is reset. When a driver like Hamlin or Reddick spends all day building a lead, managing tires, strategy, and pace, and that advantage disappears instantly, it can feel like the story of the race gets erased. That's where it starts to resemble manufactured chaos more than pure competition. And to be clear, none of that takes away from Reddick. He was flawless when the pressure peaked. Clean restart, no mistakes, perfect timing. He did exactly what a star driver for 23XI racing is supposed to do. That victory is completely legitimate. But it's equally fair to acknowledge that Hamlin had command of the race for most of the day in the Joe Gibbs racing car. Without that final caution, we're likely discussing a very different result. That's why this conversation matters so much. NASCAR has to decide what it values more: the most deserving driver over the full race distance, or the most dramatic finish possible every time. Right now, it feels like the sport is leaning towards spectacle in those final laps. And yes, overtime restarts are thrilling. They create instant adrenaline and unforgettable moments. But when they begin changing outcomes this often, fairness naturally becomes part of the conversation. So yes, Hamlin may be saying what many fans are already thinking, even if not everyone wants to admit it. This isn't about discrediting Reddick. It's about asking whether the system is balanced the right way. And if NASCAR doesn't confront that question soon, this same debate will return again and again, especially when it happens in crown jewel races or during the playoffs, where the stakes are even higher.